writing.
Hey there, Scribbles and Scratches. Welcome to the Fitz of Writing. I am your host, R.M. Johnson, and as always, for my creative edification as well as your entertainment, we bring yet another sacrifice to that most wicked altar we call the internet. My guest tonight is one and only Sean Fitzgerald, host of the amazing Fitz of Writing podcast and author of Bleeding the Divine, which we will we're going to kind of do something a little different tonight. As you guys can tell, Sean got to interview me at the offset of the season, and so I'm going to kind of interview him a little bit, and then we're going to get into our actual season finale. We have some big news, but before we get into that, Sean, why don't you tell us where your story begins?
I've been writing for a long time. Not as long as some of the people we've interviewed this season, but probably in junior high is where I dipped my toe into writing for the first time with a couple of friends. We mentioned that on the interview with Mike and Diana, that he and I were on a joint writing venture that was fan fiction and really won't be elaborated on, but after about a year or two, I kind of started diving into blatant plagiarism, and then kind of sidestepped into original ideas.
Wow. Okay, that's how we're opening this, with admitting literary crime. Love it.
It's only a crime if I'm trying to profit from it.
Yeah, that's true. I also think as kids, we all kind of plagiarize at some point. Imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. So I don't kind of begrudge any kid that does that. And I do think it is kind of a step, like one of the steps we all take in to start creating our own stuff. But
just like what I said in the interview with Francis Morgan, I think that it was a good way to kind of get used to the actions of writing, even though I didn't have my own ideas yet. And it did evolve into that. I've published a book that you love to flaunt on your screen. Yeah, that one. And working on another one, so...
Well, since Bleeding the Divine is all we have at your disposal right now to talk about, when you release your new thing, we're definitely going to talk about that. But I am curious, I did kind of want to get into it a little bit with you, just so people can kind of understand what it is. Like, I've said it multiple times, but, what is the book? Can you give us an elevator pitch on it?
The son of God and a disgraced priestess hunt for revenge against sibling and father.
You want to start over? You want to start that over?
I'm just trying to think of how much of it I really want to get expose in it. The son of God and a disgraced priestess set out for revenge against family and father.
Can you kind of delve a little bit deeper into the story? Like, give us the main characters, some not necessarily like plot details, but like what is a driving motivation for a main character, and who are some interesting people he meets along the way?
I don't want to say much about who he meets along the way. A lot of the details of the book or a lot of events in the book, I should say, kind of consecutively reveal more and more about the main character who he is, where he's from, and what even some connection that he has with the priestess that he's traveling with. His main motivation begins as simple revenge, and due to a few actions he takes and a few actions that are taken against him, it winds up needing to evolve into a whole lot more than that.
Yes, and the person we're talking about is Xavier, of course, and the priestess, I believe, is Andorra. Is that right?
Correct.
Am I pronouncing those right? Um, yeah, I read it and I liked a lot of interesting things that you did that you don't see in a lot of common fantasy. I think at the time when we first discussed it, I kept saying a word, and you're like, I don't know what that is. I've never heard it before, and that's like body horror. There's a lot of body horror that I noticed popping up in there that you don't see in a lot of fantasy, and I thought that was a interesting thing to add into it.
Well, you're the only
So
person
yeah, if you're
still
into
who
that,
has outright called it that. And it's 95% like on the mark for, I guess, what it is. But I don't want body horror to be said and, like Cenobite torture corn to be what people imagine.
yeah, it's not. It's also just because it's called the element that we're discussing is called body horror. It's not a horror story by any means. It's just generally it's an aspect of your body transforming or becoming or utilizing things other than what we would classify as like human interaction. You know, a good example would be like the anime Akira, where like the person like eventually like becomes this swelling mass of flesh and explodes, things like that. That would be considered body horror. You have elements of what a lot of body horror stories utilize, and I thought it was an interesting thing to put into a fantasy realm because you don't see it very often. I am curious, as I can be knowing the answer already because we've talked about your book at length, but I am curious as to what the audience would think regarding the origins of your idea and like what you started with and then like brought you into just writing. Like how did this idea kind of begin?
Well, the idea for the story was actually to go back to early high school years. I saw the movie Grandma's Boy, which is a comedy about a whole bunch. If you're not familiar with it, it's a comedy about a bunch of video game designers, and the main character has in secret been developing a video game all on his own, just for fun. And I was wondering, I wonder if I could do that. I was always a really big fan of video games with good storylines when I was a kid, and I wanted to write a good storyline. I hadn't written for a really long time. At the point where I was thinking about that, but it seemed like something fun I could do as a hobby, so I started teaching myself how to 3D model and design, and as I was working on that, I started working on the story until eventually I learned enough about modern day video game design to know that I did not want to be putting out a PlayStation 3 level or quality video game in 2092. So I decided to leave that be. It taught me a lot. I use the same program for how I design our intros in the show now. It's the same program, but I just decided during COVID, or at least as it was getting fired up and I was working from home, I decided that I would sit down and try to turn it into a book instead. And then that caused me to tweak it, try to make it less video gamey and make it more of a linear story, and the body horror aspects that you were bringing up, the different method of fighting and everything was basically went from being a mechanic to a way of fighting that I thought, well, that'll still be cool if it's on the page if I do it correctly. So
yeah, I think it's an interesting thing. I'm glad you kind of broke from like the norm, because like generally when people write fantasy for the first time, it's very, you know, Tolkien-esque or, you know, Wheel of Time-esque. Like, you know, they stick very close to like the things that they read growing up. And then I feel like this was a real, I don't want to call it a full-on departure, but it was a real stride out in trying to make something fresh. And, you know, I applaud you for that. I really do. You did mention talking to Mike and Diana.
Yeah.
Mike and Diana. You talked to them, and during that interview, you did mention that you started with Mike creating the fanfic, and I know you abhor the idea of discussing it, but I've got you here. I'm sure you'll edit this out. I'm curious to know just a few details, like what was it about? Like, what were you fanficking? You don't have to get into the nitty gritty. I'm just curious, like, what was the subject?
So, I don't know if maybe you've ever heard of it was a PlayStation 1 game called Leave Me the Fuck Alone and Don't Ask That Question Anymore.
I don't remember that.
Mike
Was that
and I,
Japanese release?
We were huge fans.
Okay. All right. Well, I think we could all take a nice big collective sigh out and release Sean from his torture.
I can't believe people are signing themselves up for us to do this.
Yeah, it's so much harder being on the other side of the questions, isn't it? All right, well, let's get into our actual grand finale, our season finale.
Pretty please.
I want to kind of give a shout out to all of the authors we had on the back end of the season from our season mid cap. Mike and Diana, of course. We had Orion Gregory. I had a fun time interviewing him. We brought in a friend of the show, JD, who we're planning on doing some work with in the future. Starting with Telltales, he's going to start voicing some, not all of them, of course. He's a busy man. But are there any interviews that stick out for you, Sean, that you want to kind of bring to the light?
I mentioned Francis Morgan already. I did chuckle when I believe my next interview was with Forrest Morgan, and no relation there, ? But Forrest had a lot of interesting things to say as well, especially about with the work that he did before he retired, that kind of helped guide his hand and his plans for his book about basically AI and how the people of the future are going to have to be thinking of it and considering it and everything. And it sounded like a really interesting idea that was very grounded in its concept, from somebody who would know better than, say, you or me. So that was definitely one of them. We both, I think collectively, I want to say, of the genres that we did in the back half, I think the majority went to horror. So we had James Ryan with Statues to Silence, which was about, what was the creature?
It was about bringing Gorgons into the horrorscape, you know,
That's
Justice
right,
for
right.
Gorgons.
Aha, yes, yeah. The name of the video that I edited. Yeah. Oh.
Well, you do so many, it's hard to remember all of them. Yeah, I do think we did have a decent amount of horror. I spoke with Dr. Edward Rosick. He did like an anthology of so I want to call it dystopian kind of horror. There's a lot of stories kind of in this realm that he created called "Where the Grass Don't Grow and the Vultures Sing." Interesting concepts in there.
I forgot that you and Mr. Rosick had, or I'm sorry, Dr. Rosick, had.
Yeah, he didn't go to medical school for you to insult him, sir. Long pause. Long pause. Can't deal with it.
I forgot that
Proceed.
I forgot that it was an anthology, and that it was more than just the creature in the desert. I was only thinking of the sample that he had sent us when he first submitted to be interviewed.
Oh yeah. I believe it's called the title of that was Leshy, and I think it was about a.
That's what it was.
If I remember, some like a Native American type thing. I vaguely remember.
Well, I remember when I was editing the video, and he had mentioned, like, I would really like if there was some kind of mythical creature that was the bane of humans at some point somewhere that could do, like, that fit this sort of a scene and scenario. And then on his looking, he found it, and it was perfect. I remember that.
Yeah, and I believe so. I believe it's a collection of different stories like that.
Yeah.
In that universe that he's created.
In the same vein, Miles Carnegie was our other horror writer, and he also, I'll call it creature, feature with the Primacy series and everything, but it was fun spins on the classic horror monsters. Namely, I'd say probably the most important one that he mentioned and kind of dove into would be Victoria Frankenstein and her creations, and I thought was pretty interesting. So definitely seems like there's a lot of books out there right now in the horror genre that are still doing the monster angle, which I think that's cool. Haven't heard too awful much of that going on in a little while. It's been more like vague concepts, ghosts, paranormal things, I feel like, for a while.
Yeah. And I mean, that kind of spurns off to the idea of fantasy a little bit. Like, I think Derek Hall and I, when we were discussing, he created a whole fantasy world based off of a D&D campaign. And, we had a bit of a controversial conversation. Some hot takes were said. I enjoyed it, though. Who did you have fantasy-wise in the back half?
Well, David Barrett's series is just as much speculative fiction as it is fantasy, if only just because of a magic system, Arthurian legend, kind of sticking around throughout the history of, an alternate history of ours, with him being the grand architect of his universe and having some kind of just a real beef with London.
Yeah, you mentioned that. I guess London did something to perturb him, and he's turned his literary career against it.
Yes. So. And he did not tell me off camera what happened. I do not know, but London has harmed him in some way. and London, London has wronged him in some way, but he sounds like he's going to be punishing that town for it, whatever it did, for hundreds of years to come.
Yeah. And so that kind of brings us, I think we have two more exciting bits to mention. One, the second coming of Dear Duncan, after our episode with Danielle, where we were kind of figuring it out. We actually had someone come on that asked a question that was looking for some advice, and you tackled that one with Truly Thompson. How did that one go?
I had a great time talking to her. She definitely, as far as like laying out what her issue was. She brought all of her receipts and her notes. She had a spreadsheet of every literary agent that she had reached out to and queried, trying to get on and get her book published traditionally. She had a deadline that is passed now, and I'm curious to know if she has decided to publish, keep trying to publish traditionally, or to just self-publish. And I didn't really want to steer her in any particular direction. I just had advice for if she did decide to go ahead and start getting something out there that had her name on it. But it was a good talk.
Yeah, I believe she shared a bit of information with you off screen. Would you care to share that now?
Yeah.
Don't act like you don't want to tell the world.
That's not how I'm acting. It just makes me so happy. Aside from the fact that she waited till the second that I stopped recording to say it, that
Yeah.
one of the co-hosts on this show that has facial hair as a notable part of his face is a little long-winded.
I don't know who the hell she's talking about.
It could be anyone.
Well, I'm excited to have her on.
And make her pay.
You know, yeah, you're gonna get a second interview. It's happening.
We'll be talking to you soon.
I don't even care if you release anything else. We'll talk about the same stuff. And that kind of brings me to our next big interview we had in season 1, which was a lovely conversation with not an author, not a writer, but an editor. And her name is Kimberly Huther. We had just a riot, talking with her. She's got a great personality. How much should we talk about it, Sean? How much should we talk about what I think that kind of actually, let's kind of save it. Let's lead into the coming changes for season 2.
Okay.
The big stuff, the big announcements.
Okay. Well, yeah, we can get into that. The changes are going to be incredible.
Yeah. One big thing, we're going to announce details on like how to submit and get and participate are to come. We'll start really ramping it up before we start season 2, but we're going to have a contest. We're having an incredible contest where you guys submit some work, and the winners of this contest will get some free editing from a best-selling editor, Kimberly Huther. It's a premium service that is going to pay for itself in the weight of words, and you guys, I think you're going to love the idea.
For all of our author listeners, viewers, what have you, people in the Fitz of Writing community, on any of our social medias, if you have a book that you're finishing up, we encourage you to submit a sample. Come the first episode of season 1, that's when we'll start getting the details out about the contest, what's required, what the bare minimum to submit and everything like that, whatever parameters that there are. We're still kind of ironing out those finer details, but you got yourself a chance for a contest that's going to run all season 2 long, which will be a little bit longer than this first season was.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end, we will announce the winner, who will be getting a good chunk, from what I'm understanding, of their book or short story edited by Kimberly Huther. And we were very excited to find out that she was willing to work with us in order to be able to offer that to everybody.
Yeah, so you're going to be hearing her name a lot come season 2. We're really excited to push it. We have some other changes coming in. You're going to notice some visual ones. I just want to kind of shout out NJC Printing for the lovely overlays that they helped us get. if you guys, we'll probably start dropping a link to them in the description. So if you guys are interested in trying to work with them and get some stuff for cover art or overlays for your own stuff, or what have you, but they can do posters and signage for book signings and stuff like that too. So give them a look. See, ask for Rose. She's a lovely young lady. We're also kind of we're also kind of going to start introducing some new segments on the channel, some stuff more focused towards writing discussions, details to be announced. We're kind of keeping that a little bit of a secret right now. And we're going to start doing some creative endeavors. Of course, we're doing the teletales. We're going to start trying to get some of our guests to participate so that you guys can get like a sample of their writing style and stuff before the interviews. And then, of course,
those who are willing, we're not. We're not going to force anybody to do it yet.
Unlike Sean, I force Sean.
He sends me pictures of my kids going to and from school.
I'm like, give me a telltale, or pick which one comes home. We also have a cool concept. Again, this is kind of like in our creative endeavors package of just kind of expression and showing you guys like the utility of words and how they can move between mediums. It's something fun I've been doing that I'm excited and nervous about putting out there. But Sean and I are going to create a new playlist on the channel called Wow, That's What We Call Poetry. And it's a little endeavor where I take poems I've written and I turn them into songs with the help of the evil AI, until maybe we can get some musical artists that want to collaborate with us and turn some of this stuff into legitimate music.
Real creators out there, help us stop using AI.
Yes, please. We're also, like, you guys might notice that you may have noticed. You guys also may have noticed Sean and I have these factoids that come up in the show a lot. We're kind of, sadly, with the new overlays, there's not enough room for them. They're kind of going to take a back seat. We're still going to release them, just not as regularly. And, it's just a little way for you guys to get to know Duncan a little bit more about all of his exploits in the world. And then we're going to be kind of doing a little bit of reader-writer outreach. Again, not anything regular, just to kind of be more present in the social medias, such as just asking questions that wouldn't,
yeah, we're gonna have some.
Just lost it all.
We're gonna have some prompts for folks, both readers and writers, because we want both of you in the Fitz of Writing community. We'll have, just some questions that we want to hear from you about to pick your brain. So media with us socially, please.
Yes, media us socially.
Media right at us.
Yeah, just and a quick reminder to you guys before we leave this lovely show. I hope you guys stick around. We do have a little gift for you guys at the end. Every Tuesday we release Teletales, where if you guys are interested in participating in the Dear Duncan segment where we're answering your questions, email us or DM us, ask for a submission form. We'll send one your way. Just a few questions to help keep things organized. It's nothing labor intensive. Keep an eye out on Facebook and our channels for any key announcements, such as we are currently still in open enrollment for submitting stuff for season 2.
It was fun to me that I edit and subtitle this video for you, and I try to insult you when I send it back to you by how I name the file, and you turn it into a naming convention.
Yeah.
I will find out how to hurt your feelings, I promise. But
For clarification, yeah, Sean, I asked Sean to put some subtitles in this for visual purposes, and he sent it back with the file name. Wow, that's what we call poetry. And I said, without a word, I just took that, created a logo, shot it back at him, and he goes, "Why? Why do you do this? Why are you like this?"
Why won't you let me hurt you? That fun little story aside about naming "Wow, That's What I Call Poetry," Volume 1. Uh, we do really hope that with what I will say is that you guys can expect a whole lot more content from us come next season. It's coming very soon. We're really excited about the roster we're putting together, but yeah, open enrollment is going. We are taking submissions for authors from any and all genres. We've got some pretty exciting names coming our way, so keep an eye out for that. Best way to do that, subscribe, hit the notification bell, engage with us. I'd say we're still mostly active on Facebook, but we've got our irons in as many fires as possible at the moment.
Yeah, to kind of go back just a second, not a whole lot, regarding some of the big names, I do just want to kind of preface everybody, even though we are receiving some big names, we are more than open to hear some new authors. Speaking of, I think not to put too much out there, but we did have one person who's in a pre-finished state that we're heavily considering talking to, just because that's an interesting.
I believe she's already published before. This is just where she's at with her book. But we do have at least one person who's a first-time publisher.
Well, I don't know if they're ever been published. I just meant the book that we're discussing is in a pre-published state, like as in like we're in a beta reader phase. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's a unique phase to be in, and we are interested to talking to someone that's at that phase. So like if you feel like you're in the middle of something or you're not quite ready, that doesn't mean you can't submit. We're open to everything right now. So it's just like, if you're new, we want to hear from you. If you're old and a veteran, we want to hear from you. If you're in the middle of a thing, the best thing I can say is submit, show us your work. You might get an interview, just because we're interested in what you are doing at the moment and kind of want to hear like maybe some of the struggles you're dealing with. So don't feel off put by like us just being like, well, we got some big names coming down. We are very open to everyone, regardless of phase.
Oh yeah.
But
well, and to the note of what you said about the struggles that folks are dealing with and everything too, with the Dear Duncans, you are more than welcome to submit a Dear Duncan question that you think could be answered relatively quickly, even if you're not interested in joining us on the show. We will be making a space to answer those outside of the normal schedule of interviewing with authors and storytellers. So we're more than happy to take a look at your question, think about it, and give you whatever our thoughts are on the issue, even if you think it would be quick, even if you're not interested in participating in a discussion about it. I still invite you to shoot us over Dear Duncan. We've set up these Google forms to apply for an interview, to apply for Dear Duncan. There's going to be a Google form for this giveaway contest that we're running. So we're trying real hard to look official.
to look official. Yeah. And just again, to reiterate what Sean was saying with the Dear Duncans, I just want to clarify, like, we have no delusions. We're not trying to say that we have all the answers. I think we're coming more from a place of like, these kind of things, just by simply having the discussion with someone, you kind of open up your own thinking and might be able to find your own solution. But just having that conversation sometimes helps. And so it's just our experience mixed with open dialogue tends to open more doors for people.
Oh, yeah.
And we're not trying to be like, we have the answers do what we say. It's
Usual
more of just
ignorant,
a helpful thing.
yeah. Banter aside, that is everything that Ryan and I have done for years is talk through our issues just with each other with writing and bouncing ideas off of each other.
And this channel.
What?
And I said, and this channel.
What do you mean?
That's how we create the channel, just bouncing things back and forth and discussing them. And
yeah, Ryan has an
critiquing.
idea. He comes to me with it. I say, I hate it. And he says, yeah, but you're not thinking. I mean, like I said, we're calling it the Fitz of Writing community for a reason. We want it to be a community. You might be having, like I said before, and I'm sure Ryan has too, you might have an issue that a lot of people are having. We don't want to not address. We don't want anybody to feel like they can't address something that they're struggling with while they're writing. So we want you to be able to throw it out, even if it's anonymous. Let's be a community. We'll talk through it. We'll help each other out. If you are just a watcher of the channel and you have some advice for somebody whenever we are reading out a Dear Duncan, you can put it in the comments. Just have that dialogue and everything. We want the readers and the writers all talking to each other, and to get that network as big as possible, because it is always tough out there.
Yeah. And if you guys think we're wrong about something, let us know in the comments. You think we're right, please tell me. Sean hates anytime people tell me I'm right.
You better bring receipts. I think we've touched on just about everything that we're willing to reveal before season 2. We will have a little bit of content to just kind of fodder at you guys in the next coming weeks while we're putting the finishing touches on season 2. We're not going to go away completely, but do not expect for at least 1 or 2 weeks for there to be an author interview. Look for something different. And I mean, with that, the best way to keep up with what we do put in that's different, strike the like and subscribe.
Or semperscribe.
Yeah.
No, but seriously, if you guys want to support us and the authors we interview, please subscribe to the channel. All right. Engage with us, especially as we're putting out this new stuff. We want to know what you guys like and what you don't like, so we can stop doing the things you don't like and keep doing the things you like.
Yep.
But we won't know that until you tell us.
We want to talk to you guys. We definitely do. So we invite you. It doesn't matter, whatever your favorite social media platform is. Reach out, say hi, say what you're working on, say what you like to read. I don't care. Tell Ryan that his beard is way better than mine. I can take it.
He can't. Let's fade to black. You stay right there and listen.
Wow.
Blood is ink, as red as black can be. My words, the roar amid the churning of the sea. With a stroke I stride and strike at thee, ever striving to make the world I rage against the burning of the pain. Rage against the burning of the pain. I am but a blade forged to slay my foe. heart go gentle. I am the thunder. I bleed to plunder such lies asunder. To fill lost hopes with heart and hunger. You are the storm to which I am under. Rage! Rage against the burning of the page. Rage! Rage against the burning of the page. Rage! So sackless a word as gentle. I dare not scribe. I will not vet my voice with vice or errant bribe. I will not weep or whisper, nor step aside. All I beg is you and I both be but one and cry. Be Zeus, I say, take root and snare the sky. Be fierce and knowing with lightning in your eyes. Strike right against the plight with words, not lies, and fight to thwart the fear that will not die. Rage! Rage against the burning of the page. Rage against the burning of the page. Rage against the burning of the page. Set loose a well and feather, my friend, take flight. Right before the page is gone from sight. Right what slight light might shine so bright. I am the sword and you my